supported their main claim with 3 supporting claims, which were that A, video and/or audio recordings are a trustworthy source of evidence. B, that systems such as CCTV, which they defined at the beginning of their speech as closed-circuit TV, and how they improve police effectiveness. And C, the last supporting claim that they used was that a majority of citizens feel safer knowing that there is surveillance present. Going back to the first claim, they said that video and/or audio recordings are a trustworthy source of evidence, and they provided evidence on how these days there's video clips present rather than just a cigarette stub or a tire skid at the crime scene. And they also mentioned how it's more reliable than witness testimony. And another minor claim that they presented was that video cannot lie, and I would like to conclude this as not true because it can be altered sometimes. And to support my own claim, I would like to mention that Lynn Bryant of videosurveillanceguide.com said that there have been misuse of images, and so this is a generalization problem because they did not take specific cases into consideration that video actually can sometimes lie. And I have another source from Rebecca Harold of the Real-Time IT Compliance Community, and she said that some or most of the surveillance tools being used are not 100% accurate. So again, this goes back to their claim and how it is not always true. And another thing that they mentioned was that the objective nature of cameras has been critical in forcing confessions and gaining convictions. And this is insufficient information because there's no evidence present to prove it. And that basically sums up the first supporting claim. Moving on to the second one, which is that systems such as CCTV improve police effectiveness. Again, they started off with a strong, credible source from the New York Times, and how these systems are transforming police work, and they're joining witnesses and fingerprints as key tools in investigations. But what was missing, that they also mentioned that how these systems are particularly useful in high-profile cases. Again, this is insufficient information because they did not provide any statistics or any factual data on the general rate of solving and how this actually is useful in high-profile cases. The last supporting claim that a majority of citizens feel safer knowing there's surveillance present, they provided a poll, and they said that 70% of Americans favor it, as opposed to 25% who don't. And this is true because it is a credible source from the ABC News and Washington Post. And they also mentioned that an issue that evidence that cameras prevent crimes has been mixed. There's no definitive evidence that it prevents crimes from occurring, only that it makes solving crimes act a lot more expedient. And it's good that they brought up this issue, but another issue that they should have brought up is the fact that these surveillance cameras create controversy over privacy. And yes, it is public surveillance that we're talking about, so it's not that big of an issue, but it is big enough to have been brought up because it is present. And to back my claim up, the same Lynn Bryant that I mentioned earlier, they said that the general rule of thumb is that any video monitoring activity that takes place anywhere that the public has access to does not constitute an invasion of privacy. However, it is not always so cut and dry. Some have argued that the use of covert cameras is an invasion of privacy since the cameras cannot be detected. So again, this could have made their argument a lot more better. Yeah, that's it.
All right, well, the structure is fine. That's easy to follow. I think you spend an awful lot of time repeating the claims, especially when you get to the first point. Just paraphrase, and let's get to the issue of dispute. On the argument about video can be altered, your supporting evidence there, I mean, that's a good counterclaim, but your supporting evidence there is about misuse of the information, not necessarily altering the information. You know, maybe somebody gets a hold of video images that are risque or inappropriate, and they post them on websites to embarrass people, but that's not the same thing as it being altered to convict somebody of a crime who was not there, or inserting somebody's image, for instance, to affiliate them with some negative thing. That, I think, is a misuse of the evidence that you've got there. Later on, you've got a piece of information that says it's not 100% accurate, but there's not much explanation about what is inaccurate there, and it seems very broad on that particular point. On the second point, you start off sounding like you're giving a critique rather than a refutation. But your main point here is that there's a lack of evidence from the advocate, and I think that that's a reasonable challenge. Later on the third point, you do the same kind of thing with a critique rather than just a refutation. And you're kind of accepting their conclusion on that third point, except that you've got the one extra argument, the counter-argument, that there may be some privacy issues involved, although you don't seem to be saying that there are privacy issues. You're just saying some people raise privacy issues. We don't know what they are or why they're valid. So in comparing the position of the advocate and yours, I'm not sure that we have any grounds for suggesting that your position is superior. All right, thank you.